Many Americans are struggling to save for retirement. According to a new Bankrate survey, 57% of working Americans feel behind on their retirement savings. 48% with a specific retirement goal don't think they'll be able to save that much. And it's not just financial strain. There are also lifestyle changes to consider when you retire. Here now, we've got Christine Benz, Morningstar's Director of Personal Finance and Retirement Planning and author of How to Retire. Great to have you here on the program with us, Christine. So, we ran through the stats there. How can people start to put in place different steps, different strategies that they can employ to make sure that they are retirement ready and have a fair figure in mind as they're moving towards that goal?
Yeah, thanks, Brad. I saw that retirement savers think they need 1.8 million to retire, and that seems like a really high number. And I wonder where people are coming up with figures like that, frankly. So as retirement approaches, as you hit the threshold of maybe age 50, start putting pen to paper about how you think your budget may change in retirement, because inevitably it will change a little bit. You may have fewer commuting costs. You may not need clothes to go into the office. So take a hard look at that. Maybe you're mulling some sort of relocation or downsizing. That'll definitely improve your budget. So look at your planned spending, look at what Social Security will provide you if you are among the shrinking share of the population that will have a pension in retirement. Look at what your pension benefits might be, and then do some math around your retirement savings adequacy. So a very quick and dirty rule of thumb is if you can live on 4% of your portfolio initially, that's typically considered sustainable over a 25 or 30-year period, even if you encounter a really poor environment during your retirement drawdown period. So that's a starting point. Also, and I think this is super important right now, think about de-risking your investment portfolio a little bit, taking some money out of stocks, putting it into cash and bonds, not all of it certainly, because you need the long-term growth potential of stocks, but some. And the idea is that, again, if you happen to encounter a bad stock market environment, especially early on in retirement, you're building yourself a bulwark of assets that you could spend from.
Yeah.
So that's the financial side of the ledger.
Well, you touched on this for a hot second, and I want to go further into it. The lifestyle steps to take before retirement to really test things out. And you've even got the big P and the small P's within here and these purposes. I want to break those down.
Yeah, this is something that came from Jordan Grummett, who is a hospice doctor, and he's also a leading light in the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. So he's one of these people who retired from his main job as an MD early on, but continued doing this hospice work. And so he spent a lot of time with people at the end of their lives about what their regrets were. And he talked to me about the value of having, as you move into retirement, certainly throughout your life, you want to have what he calls big P purposes. So those might be really aspirational things that you want to achieve during your lifetime. So like climbing a mountain or writing a book or starting a foundation. So think about those, one or two things that are huge to you that you want to try. And then it's also important to have these small P purposes, which are just the things that animate us and give us joy every day. And ideally, you've got a lot of those small P purposes. So maybe it's just being a great partner to your spouse, or a wonderful parent, or, that you love to watch birds or cook or run marathons or whatever the case is. But come in with both those small P purposes and the big P purposes too.
All right. Well, as soon as Augusta National sends me an invite, I can fulfill one of those big P purchases.
All right.
And its purposes there. Just lastly, while we have you, we got about a minute left here. Key challenges that people tend to face when they retire.
Well, one is counterintuitive. I heard your previous guest talk about the retirement readiness crisis, and certainly a lot of people will fall short in terms of what they need. But More affluent people often struggle spending appropriately from their portfolios. They're not spending enough, and that can encompass lifetime giving. I think sometimes people underrate the value of giving to their kids when they're in their 20s and 30s versus giving them a pot of money when they're in their 50s and 60s after you pass away. It's more impactful to give those smaller gifts early on.
Christine Benz, Morningstar's Director of Personal Finance and Retirement Planning and author of How to Retire. Christine, thanks so much for taking the time today.
Brad, thank you so much.